Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I'm going to share with you a clip from a recent members-only live event where myself and BronzeDrag0n are actually going to be having an amazing conversation around Rebellion cards. I think the secret is that it's not necessarily the sexiest legendaries or epics. It's in fact maybe some of those commons or rares where people might be sleeping and maybe overlooking some amazing value. So it was a great conversation. If you want to be present during these live recordings, I encourage you to check out my membership page, get subscribed at whatever level you feel interested at, and then you'll be invited and able to access those members only content on my channel. Also, check out the full conversation over on BronzeDrag0n's channel. If you haven't already, throw him a sub because he's almost at 500. That's an amazing milestone. Congratulations to him. Great content, amazing, thoughtful person. Go support the channel. Have an amazing day. God bless. One thing that I wanted to talk more about that we pulled away for the colony topic, I think, was even just the Rebellion cards. And I heard you talk about how, I know you're not a huge Rebellion guy yet, but I do know that you've been trying to get those summoners when you can. And I also know that you bought yourself one mage wagon to try and, you know, just double dip on your Rebellion cards. I wonder, and you said you've got 20 different angles. Right now you're focusing on land. Are there certain Rebellion cards that you are hoping for, or that you're aiming at, or you're longing for? Or are you just closing your ears to it right now?
So here's the thing. When I first started playing Splinterlands, I had to come up with a plan on how I was going to build out my deck. And I still think this ultimately holds true. Your whole deck starts with your summoners, okay? Yep. You've got to start with your summoners, and you've got to get them to the appropriate level, okay? So going into Rebellion, I saw the prices involved and all the huge price it would cost to go in and get enough mage wagons or enough staked out to get, a guaranteed drop. And then I looked at the price and, of what the card might go for when it goes live, if I wanted to buy singles on the market, right? And to me, I wanted to step back and take a logical approach. And my logical approach was, well, what are the first characters or first cards I'm going to buy? The first cards I'm going to buy are summoners, okay? And they're going to be dual purpose, okay? First of all, they're going to be level appropriate for gold level, which is what I play in, and they're going to be staked on my mage wagon. So that's what I did. I got a mage wagon, and I started with actually the rare summoners because they're actually cheaper to get to level 6 for gold than the commons are to get to level 8. So I've got Nomos, and I've got the next guy above it, in depth. So yeah, like Nomos right now, max level $60 to get 115 copies. I just did the math on the two cheapest commons. This one was 120, I think, if I recall correctly, and this was 100. So Brewmaster, even though it's the slightly more per BCX, it actually has must have more copies at a lower price. So this is cheaper if you want to max. You know what I'm noticing, and this is a bit of a tangent. So let's just see where this conversation goes. But I'm seeing that these two are the cheapest, and I'm wondering if that speaks about the fire splinter in a certain way, because like the life splinter is life water. Prunda is doing great over here, like almost 50% more expensive per BCX. And then I don't know. Maybe it's the blue white. I guess I'm trying to figure out why is Death Fire so cheap? Why is Fire Earth so cheap? I think it speaks to, and once again, the old time Magic the Gathering player comes out in me. It speaks to the interplay between the splinters, right? So I think the ones that are more expensive are going to be the two combinations of splinters that work better together and feature a more powerful deck, or they work better together. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. But I also, part of me says, do we even know what we're talking about? And I don't mean you and me, I mean like the community of players. Like, okay, so we already know we talked about how little SPS earnings there are in Wild.
We talked about how many SPS are being earned in modern, specifically in gold. Like, I mean, Aftersound today showing a video 8, 9, 10 SPS per win in gold. You saying half of an SPS per win. So that tells me something about there's a far greater attention being there's a lot of the accounts are being botted in wild. And like, look, no judgment there. I'm just saying that's happening. And so what I'm actually wondering out loud is, do we as human active players truly know, does this deserve its low price point? Does this deserve its low price? And actually, to be fair, it's not even that low. Like we said, $100 for Brewmaster, 112 or 20 for Dole 4. The cheapest one was Nomos with 60. But okay, let's focus on Nomos then. It's $60 for a rare tactic summoner. Are we sleeping on these cards? I kind of think the long and short of it is, to me, I actually believe our community doesn't really know how to use these yet in the best possible ways. I think we are still learning that, and until we start to see somebody using Nomos in a really cool, creative way, and it wins, a disproportionate number of times, the community won't adopt it. And until that happens, these prices stay low. Now, I can't tell you that I know a way to win with them, so I'm not saying go buy them. I'm just saying I don't think we've had enough time with them. What do you think about that?
Because first of all, we haven't had them for a whole long time, and I think there's a lot of other things that go into this as well. Certain of them probably have a lot more available, been pulled out of packs. Maybe that affects the prices. We all know that if in the meta game somebody comes up with a couple good, really cool combinations, then those cards take off. If you feature a card or Bulldog features a card, it takes off and sells a bunch. But I'll flash back to Chaos Legion, and after Chaos Legion had just come out, a month or two out, and I remember paying $25 for the red summoner, for the fire summoner, which I thought had great stats, and she does, but down the road it didn't play out, and she ended up being not as great a summoner as Kelia, who at the time was cheaper than she was. Tarsa, yeah. So things change, and as you use them more, the human brain comes up with different plans. You play a lot of games, and suddenly you find a good combination. You start using that, and you tell your subscribers about it, and then it takes off, right? And then more people learn about it, obviously. So.
Yeah, and and I shouldn't make it sound like I don't have an imagination about how Nomos or these other ones will start to shine, but I do think these multi-splinter summoners are actually really radically different than anything we've seen. And I agree. I think it's actually the ripple effect for what that'll mean for the game isn't properly understood, and I think we are currently sleeping on them. Now, I'm not going to rush out and buy them. They are lower on my list of Rebellion because I find certain other Rebellion cards more desirable. Maybe we could talk about some of the legendaries or whatever, in a moment. But I would say, like, just imagine, and I never played Magic the Gathering, but I would think this would really apply to any game where this is possible, where there's multi-splinters. The idea that you could grab all greens and all reds and find and just dream, like, just as creative as you can be within that. And there's so many synergies. It's already hard enough to build a thoughtful, well-designed team when you get the full fire team, the full earth team, the full death team, especially, in wild where there's going to be a lot of choices. I would say there is a ton of options that happen that I haven't even looked at because I don't have this card. But I'm saying, like, I think this is going to be, these are long-term game changers, but I think right now they're being ignored a little bit. And maybe that's because some of the more exciting bells and whistles are over here with the legendaries. Like, some of these cards have really already shot up in value. Rune Seer, was a few dollars. I think it might have been $7 at first. Baradalin, I was buying this around $7-8. Townsend, I think I was buying around $9. Ooh, there's no more Nalaras none on the market right now. None. This card, it's funny because like just today I saw Silence cover this card and he was like, this card's way better than you think, and sure enough somebody came on here and bought them all. So
well, back on the common summoners just for a minute. I completely agree. That's a full idea. Don't get me wrong. Straight from Magic the Gathering with dual lands. Okay, and after a certain point in time, after Revise, they became nerfed. You know, so you have other. The whole idea is being able to play 2 different colors of mana, right? So same idea here. I agree. I love them from that perspective, and I do want to get a set of them, right? But going into the mage wagons, I was looking at the most cost-effective way to get some summoners and get my wagon up and producing something, right? So,
from an art perspective, which one strikes you as being really attractive? Like, are these appealing to you visually?
Not really. I like the Prunda Undervesh. I know I'm going to light some fires, and I love Nate, and I love the crew, and I think they do a great job. But I like the older style better, the older artwork better.
Interesting. I haven't.
You know, one of my main things about collecting, and I'm a big regular physical collectible cards guy as well, is I like to see art styles where you can decidedly tell who the artist is. And I'm sure if you knew the people on the team and you worked with them on a daily basis, you could tell who did what. But it just seemed, you know, I don't want to step on toes, but it seems very homogenized. But I do, from the business side of things, I do understand why they did it, right? It's not that I'm, you know, I'm not blind to that. Yep. But my opinion is I like the older styles.
I really like this turtle. I think it's got amazing artwork. I love the, I'm going to zoom in a little. Oh, boom. Yeah, it's, he looks like he's got like, I see his armored shell. He's got some sort of mage wand. It looks like he's conjuring something. He looks fierce. Yeah. I love it. And I love the green and the yellow together. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so you're interested in this stuff in the Rebellion. You aren't exactly chasing it down. You're trying to be patient. Is there one card you're seeing when you do play, or that you are saying to yourself, you know what, like that's on the list. Like I gotta, you know, maybe not today, but like it's got to be on the list. It's on the to get list. Are there any that are there for you, or that you are planning for?
Well, you're really looking at them right there. A Kane. Darg, Nalara, those are the big ones.
Yeah, yeah. Darg to me strikes me as like, I bought a max copy. The price has been going up since. I'm glad I did. I think it's really, really worth it. I think that Weapons Trainer obviously has become a big part of the meta right now. But I mean, at every level, like that's one of the ways to like decide if a card's, you know, worth the price point. It's not just, you know, it doesn't just appeal. If it only appeals to a diamond champion level team, then that's cool for me. But you probably are going to expect a lower price point for that card because it's not appealing to a certain audience in this game. But with Darg,
and that's I just wanted to butt in there. That's going on to a point where I was discussing with Tails earlier on his live stream, is that there's this whole sectionality of you playing or he's playing at champ, and that's something I had never really looked at a lot. You know, I'm used to playing in silver and gold, and the cards that are good buys for playing in silver and gold aren't necessarily the same cards that are in the meta, you know, as you go up into diamond and champion. So
that's right. Yeah, I mean, the sexiest cards are definitely those ones that have appeal at every level. And to me, Darg does. With the Weapon Trainer at level 1, everybody could stand to benefit. That's a huge Weapon Trainer at level 1. And then to get into silver and to give yourself that triage, I think that's an amazing card. Like that's a big upgrade with the 1 more hit point. And then into level 3, you get the dodge. Okay, at gold, I feel might, if I was but there's 2 extra hit points. I almost said I wouldn't get it because the dodge alone is maybe not enough, but the 2 extra hit points is big. So, so I'm tracking and I'm saying if I played here, I'd want it. If I play here, I see myself wanting it. If I play here, I'm gonna want it. And definitely a champion, you get that extra diamond champion, you get that extra damage output, which is actually 3 damage output, because you're gonna put 2 weapon train non-attackers beside it. So great card.
Okay, but for the sake of argument, what's the cost of a Darg at gold level, at level 3?
Yeah, good question. So 6 times 20, let's go, I guess bulk buy 6. Not cheap. $141 to get that gold.
Okay. So a Darg or an epic plot of land? You tell me.
Yeah. And also too, like another way, even if you really I want the Darg, okay, but then if you're playing a gold, you can still use a silver Darg and not be penalized, and maybe that's enough. You go 3 times 20 is 75, so 70 instead of 140 or whatever it was, and maybe, and then you have, you know, but you're right, you got to make those calls because $70 is still a lot of money, man. $70. We were looking at the summoners a minute ago. And you know, this one is $60. This one was $75. That's 2 summoners right there. This one was, I think, $75, $80, something like that. There's some good summoners that you can get at the highest levels for that price point. And we're talking about a Darg that's at level 2. So do you want a max summoner or do you want a Darg that's at level 2? Sometimes those monsters are worth it though. Like I really, well, maybe I'll pull up some of the data and we can look at it together. But I find Rush Townsend super powerful, and I know it's the only thing it's got going against it is that it's archery, and you can't always use that in the 9 mana for an archery isn't great when you're talking about bronze, because bronze is gonna not always have 20, 30, 40 mana to work with. So then again, like I just said for Darg, well, I could justify Darg at bronze, silver, gold, and champ. Townsend, I probably am saying I want this in silver plus, and that changes the dynamics on what the price should be, because it changes the audience on who might want it. The legendaries, I think people are giving the right attention to them. Like I don't really think that there's any card in here. Like if this is the cheapest one. And I don't think it's a bad card, but I don't think there's a card amongst the Legendary Rebellions where people are like sleeping on it. I wouldn't say, you know.
Well, that's legendary. That's why they're legendary, right?
Exactly.
I think in most cases, most legendaries are going to be really good cards. Some of them are specific use case. I think the real trick to this game is picking out the sleeper cards that are common or rare. I think that's the trick.
Yes.
You find a common or rare that has a good interaction between each other, and then max it out and get a good deal on it and get a lot of play out of it for your dollar. Right?
That's right. You're totally right. And some cards come to my mind in Splinterlands, but it actually makes me think about Immortal Creed, because, you know, I did that video recently going a bit deeper into it, and you left a comment. I actually want to hear your thoughts on, like, because I'm, you know, in Splinterlands, I see commons and rares that are amazing. That, like, let's quickly look at. I know Chaos Legion super well, so let's look at Chaos Legion. These are the commons from Chaos Legion. Venari Scout's an amazing card. Like the opportunity does good amount of damage. Setherpod.
Flying Squid.
Yep, Flying Squid's great. Setherpod's got a good amount of resiliency. Shabby, amazing.
Supply Runner.
Yeah, Supply Runner is like almost necessary, I think. Deep Lurker, amazing. So
Chaos Agent.
Yeah. These are the commons, and we just gave them quite a high praise as we ripped through them. And you're right with the rares too, the same. And this is Chaos, so everybody knows it, and they're cheap, so everybody's got them. But you know, with Rift Watchers and with Rebellion, not everybody has them. These are the commons in those 2 editions, and there's some real game changer cards in here. I really love Arachne Thug. This card looks cool with the double strike. I rented it for a while, and I like it. I don't have a max copy. I think it might be worth looking into, especially if you have the water summoner that adds archery damage, because you get Nimble Duke gives you, 2 archery times double strike plus 2 more because you can tactics buff him. So Nimble Duke, somebody I would be following. The fighter I like. I lose to Endless Ape sometimes. This thing just gets crazy hit points with the 12.
But once again, we're talking about the difference between different levels of play here. And why I say that is because at gold and silver, especially silver, I'm going to be very hesitant to buy cards that are 7 and 8 mana, because and even in gold, I see a lot of play in that 20, 30, 40 range, and not a whole lot of play at 45 and 50, where I would argue that whenever you start talking about 7, 8 mana cards, you're talking at least 40 mana, hands, right?
Love it.
Everything can go different ways, right? But generally speaking, and so when you start talking about bronze, I think by investing in 7 and 8 mana cards, if you like the cards, that's cool, but they're not going to see a whole lot of play, right?
Great point.
As you go up in levels, obviously in Diamond and Champ, you're going to see a lot of those higher mana matches, but in Gold and below, so that's my point.
So good. And I've tweaked, based on that, I tweaked the filter so that we are looking now at less than 6 mana. So these are the commons from Rift Watchers and Rebellion, and it's monsters only. And yeah, there's some keepers in here, man. This is another one, Blackmoor Trickster, 3 mana, and look how many hit points it gets at the higher levels. Now, you just said, what about lower levels? Okay, even at silver, you're getting into 6 hit points, which is solid for a 3 mana close range archer, by the way. And then if you're getting into gold, you're going to add the snare. You're going to get up to 7, 8 hit points. It's a big tank. I'm going to call it an off tank because it's, it doesn't have any shield or whatever, but that's a strong little archery card. This one I love, Chaos Rearguard. I do consider this a tank, almost a main tank with the 9 hit points and the 6 armor. It also has shield. So I really like this one, and it's only 4 mana. But you're definitely right. It's the finding the path within the the legendaries and the epics are kind of the ace pitcher or the home run star. It's like, them, they're household names. The commons and the rares are like, if you know them, if you truly know how to synergize the commons and the rares, you're more of an advanced player. You really know your deck, and the path through those cards, I think you're right. There's that's how you set apart a good player from a great player. The ones who find those not obvious cards. Hey.